right, so thank you so much for joining into this episode of the Be More podcast. I'm Brittany.
I'm Maria, and today Brittany brought on a guest, Vinny.
Oh, yes, Vincent. How you guys doing?
Good.
Doing well, thanks. We're so happy to have you.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
We want to hear more about your life and what you're doing and talk about like your big project. But okay, so let me lead in with how I know Vin and what inspired me to think like I said to Maria, I was like, oh, we have to bring him on the show. But we used to work together.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
yes,
where?
Yes. Oh, so let me preface.
I don't know their backstory. Just for everyone else listening, I have no idea.
Okay,
so that Vincent has an idea of like Maria and I's connection. Maria and I grew up across the street from one another.
Mm-hmm.
But when I went away to school, there's a lot of stuff going on in Maria's life and my life. We kind of lost touch for a little bit. And then once we were adults and we were more solidly
Settled.
Sound, we were like, hey, we should like talk again. And the reason why we have this show is because these are all conversations that Maria and I used to sit in her room for hours when we were growing up and just talk about nothing. But they were all
everything.
Such good conversations that were so soulful.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's why we started this podcast. And now we just like to invite other people into the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And so Vin and I used to work together during that time frame when Maria and I weren't really that close and we were in different paths. I worked at a restaurant when I was in college and Vincent worked there too. And that was how we met.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how much we can talk about like the restaurant per se.
I was like, you probably shouldn't just because it's a kind of well-known one, right? If I'm thinking about the right one.
Yeah.
You only worked in one restaurant, right?
It's popular.
Well, in college, yeah. Remember how I used to work I worked at the other popular chain for soda, for root beer specifically when we were in high school.
The other one.
But yes, we worked at an Italian restaurant and when I was in college.
Okay. Yeah, we should probably like not say anything about it.
Yeah, that's fine. We won't do that. But we that place was always packed and crazy. And I know we were sometimes together when we weren't at work at gatherings because we knew each other through Raina. Raina was also way more social than I was in college because I was just so overwhelmed with everything. So whenever I wasn't at work, I was running around like a chicken without a head. But Raina was always the super social one, was always setting up things to hang out with people. So whenever there was a social event, especially when Raina and I lived together, you were always around and I was like, oh, this guy's really cool. And you were always super nice and bubbly. So that makes a lot of sense as to what you're doing now, which I think is awesome. So tell us a little more about yourself, what you're doing now for work, and definitely tell us about your passion project that you're working on.
Absolutely. So as of right now, I'm still working for the township. Once I left that restaurant, I actually went straight to the township to work and for the public works department. So right now I'm a custodian there for about 5.5 years. I'm still in college at Kane University in Union.
Nice.
So I have one more semester there. I finish in December, so I cannot wait.
Awesome.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm a phys ed and health major, so want to be a gym teacher, health teacher.
Nice.
That's definitely what I'm interested in. I've known that for years now. It's just with working full time, school kind of can't be as quick as you want it to. I can't take 6 classes a semester because I have a full time job. So it was a slow and steady race, but I'm glad to be basically at the finish line now with that.
That's amazing. Well, when you are done, I know some awesome phys ed teachers that you would get along wonderfully with that I would be more than happy to connect you to.
Very cool. Thank you very much. I'm excited for that. I can't wait to finish up. So
that's awesome.
Why I wanted to do that really and study that phys ed and health is because the insane passion that I have just for helping people become better. Even when I was younger, I noticed it that, if you're playing sports or into any sort of recreational activities, sometimes the coaches aren't the best. So I wanted to be...
We can have a nice conversation about that.
So that really pushed me to want to be, a coach and a role model in that way because I wasn't really totally happy with, the coaching that I had throughout my childhood, and I feel like it could have been a lot better. So I wanted to try to do it myself, and that was really the first step into me deciding to become a phys ed and health major. And I just love exercise all around. I believe in the multiple benefits of it. It's so it makes me feel better. You know what I mean? I try to exercise a few times a week. I would say every day, but I'd be lying. So a few days a week, I really do enjoy exercising, whether it be something as simple as a slow jog, or I bike rode today, so I thought that was really cool.
Nice.
Just to get out there, get some fresh air. So has a big benefit on my mental health, I feel. And as I'm sure you guys know too, how beneficial it could be. So
Honestly, if I was disciplined enough, I would be exercising just for my mental health, but I'm so lazy.
I get it completely. It's tough. It is, once you get out of that little cycle of you going to the gym or you consistently
Oh my God, yeah.
It is incredible.
Forget it.
Yes, because you get too comfortable with being comfortable.
Before COVID started, like I would be at the gym like every few days a week, but now forget it. I still haven't gotten into a routine, and it's August. Like
I wanted that summer body, but it's still not coming yet. So
it is what it is. I'll aim for next summer.
Oh,
yeah, that's exactly
and
what I'm doing for.
It's super hard when it comes to all of that, like physical fitness. We don't live in a world that encourages any of that. Like physical well-being, we just don't live in a world that encourages it. When it comes to, like, we talk about how important it is and we'll hear their commercials about it, but when it comes to like what's the mainstream of nutrition, what's the mainstream of what exercise and like our daily life habits are, like none of it is actually putting any of that first. So it's hard to create a lifestyle that's founded in that when it goes against a lot of what we're taught to do, how we're taught to live.
Very true.
But yeah, I mean, every little bit counts. And that's a big part of what Maria and I talk about, because both of us have struggled with mental health, and we both really understand how like whole body ties into everything. And that's like, Maria knows how much of a nerd I am, but that's what like has driven my life. That's what's been driving my life, is finding ways to really dive into whole body like fitness and whole body wellness, because it does require more than just like your physical body.
It really absolutely does. There's so many different benefits from it. I look at it as I feel better when I'm physically active, so it goes hand in hand, because I wouldn't be able to just sit around without doing any sort of physical activity week after week. And I wouldn't be able to be happy, you know what I mean? Just because it really does release those endorphins that I need once I get out there.
Yeah.
Get some sort of activity in, it's fun. Even if it's game of tennis, anything. There's just so many different ways to exercise, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing. And that's the thing that I've been seeing. I've been trying to focus a lot on for myself to motivate myself when I feel like I don't want to do things, to say for anything, but like fitness included, not to focus on how I feel when I do it, because sometimes it doesn't feel good. Sometimes my body is tired. Sometimes I don't want to do it. But what I'm gonna feel like, or what's gonna come of me, like when I'm done, what's gonna be the end result, how I'm gonna feel. I know I'm always gonna feel better. And the same thing comes with like all other factors of health too, and like what we're eating and how we're talking to ourselves and all of those really big important factors. But it makes me really, really sad, because we're sitting and talking about how important it is to like have all of this activity. Because I just finished, I work at a summer camp, like a day camp over the summer, and I get to see kids. I work in the performing arts, like the performing arts area for the camp, and it was really hard with COVID, but now they're all going back to school virtually, and they're getting a firsthand experience about what like an extremely sedentary life is going to be. But I love that you're going into phys ed, because there's an amazing human being that I worked with at the summer camp who is actually a phys ed teacher, and he goes like above and beyond in everything he possibly does, but he had to teach phys ed to middle schools, children, through COVID. And he was doing like baking classes with them from his kitchen, and was talking about doing like triathlon activities with them, and just like a bunch of fun stuff. Because he flat out was saying, he's like, you know, physical education, we say it's physical education, but I mean, we're talking about health with them, and like health is a lot more than just their physical level of activity. And he had said to me too, he was like, he was the kid growing up where, you know, you do I don't know if they really still do it. Like, did you ever do the presidential fitness test? Do you remember that, Maria?
Yeah.
I'd never heard of that, actually.
Oh my
we
God.
had to do the presidential fitness test, where you had to like run a mile, and you had to do all of these like fitness activities.
And like
that was the only thing that I was ever good at, was the VSIT.
I did do that. Okay, now that you said that, I did do that. I have done
it. Had different names. as like through the years of it happening.
But also, like,
we
you still
used to
had,
get
like prizes
patches
or like little patches.
Yeah,
so
we
I'm
used to get patches for
really?
it.
Like, oh, that's sick. You could like rock
And they
it.
had like the eagle on it and stuff, like
Oh,
the
wow.
president. You won a presidential. I always came in last place.
Oh, me too. I was always like it was like the participation award or whatever, and it was like a white patch. I was like, I don't care. Like,
yep, with the brown eagle. I'll never forget that. And the blue letters. Yep, I always felt like such a winner when I got them.
And then you had like the kids that had like the red ones, which would be like second place, and like the blue ones, which would be first place.
They were so fancy.
And they would always be like on their backpacks.
And I always wondered like what were we supposed to do with those? I think I had like a pile of them.
It meant that you're
somewhere.
Healthy.
But it had nothing to do with that. That's the point. So I had like my friend was like explaining how like he's a physical education teacher and he's a health teacher and he doesn't think that just talking about physical education is enough because how fast you can run says nothing about like your actual health level. So I was like, that's really great that he's been able to like incorporate stuff like that. And unfortunately, that's like the reality of what teaching looks like right now. Is like you have to figure out other ways to make it engaging online.
Yeah, it's really tough. I've never had, I think this semester I'll be student teaching. I will be student teaching, so I think I will be doing remote as far as I know from now. Yeah, from what I'm told. So I'm sure that I'm going to have to come up with a bunch of different activities too to teach them through Zoom probably. But I think that's a really great idea. Because that was a perfect way to put it. Physical activity, but you're not going to really feel good if you're not mentally there. You know what I mean? If you're not mentally well. Yeah. So it's a challenge every day for me too. And what you just said, you said both of you have struggled. I've struggled too, so it makes all three of us definitely. It's not easy, so I want to help people deal with the issues that I overcame in a better way. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think that that's really a great physical like education and health is just such a win-win for me. If you could just improve on it a little bit as often as you can throughout time, it's just come on. I don't think we'll ever be able to perfect it, but it's so fun. It's so fun to try new challenges and learn new things for the betterment of yourself. So
yeah, that is what you just said is literally if Maria and I tried for a really long time to put into words like what the heck the point of this podcast was. Because we originally the reason why it was called the Be More podcast was originally because we were really lazy losers and we were like, all right, my name starts with a B and your name starts with an M, let's do it. Like be more, like that works. But then we were both talking, like the more being like the conversations that we have, we were both talking more. We were like the way that we overcame our mental struggles, the way that we overcame like some of the really hard things that have happened in our lives is because we just try to be like a little bit better every day. Like we try to be more informed about something. We try to understand ourselves and the world around us better. We try to be like kinder to other people, like all of these ways that we can improve ourselves. And the way that you just said it is perfect. Like we never, though the two of us can come off, sometimes we have our moments where like we get a little frustrated, but we never want to come off as saying like no one's good enough. But at the same time, there's this sense of saying like you can always make yourself better. And exactly what you said, if we just do like a little something for that like goal and that path of betterment every single day, then we're making that difference. And like I know that everything that you do with BEA is like all about that. Like you're all about encouraging that and giving people that support and having those conversations. So we love that. Tell us more about like what inspired that and like totally use your handles when your channel and stuff so people can
thank you very much. So BEA, Believe, Excel, Achieve is basically my name for everything online. Even like my email now. It's just something that I've really followed for I want to say maybe like 7 to 8 years now. I was watching a guy on YouTube and he was inspirational guy, very active, and he had a slogan and I loved his videos. So I figured if I want to, I wanted to make videos too. So if I wanted to make videos, I'm gonna have to come up with some sort of a slogan. So I was thinking for probably a week or so, or even more, like what can I do that I'll take seriously, I'll really do my best to live by. So I wanted it to be more of like a lifestyle and not necessarily just like a one-dimensional or one subject or aspect. So Believe, Excel, Achieve, I use literally every day in my life. I try to live my life out in that fashion. So where it all started is I wanted to put it in basically like I guess like a sequential order. So it starts, I always say it starts with a B, which is funny because really the alphabet starts with an A, but I say the alphabet, my alphabet starts with a B because it's belief. So in first.
Right.
Well, you could say you need a belief, then you're good.
Yes, there you go. That works perfectly. That works perfectly.
Loophole.
Yeah. That's always really been my thing, is that in order for you to be successful or to be happy with yourself and to challenge yourself, you have to believe in yourself. So that's really, really important. Much, much easier said than done. I've struggled with that.
Yeah.
To this day,
sure.
as I'm speaking, my
For
self-belief isn't spot on, nowhere where I would like it to be, but it's a progress. It's definitely something I work on as much as I can. So that's something that I really thought you would need, is a strong belief system in order to excel in something else that you would like, say whatever you're interested in. You have to believe in yourself first, and then you put in the work, you put in the effort, and that's where you could level up in a way and excel into what you really want it to be and what you were striving to become. It goes hand in hand with the belief, and then ultimately with those paired together, when you reap the benefits of it is when you would reach the achievement level. So I figured first you need to believe in yourself. If you work hard, you really believe in yourself, then you really focus, excel, and really, really dial into what you believe in. That will cause you to excel. That will cause you to progress in a positive way. And then that is when you can enjoy the fruits of your labor, so to speak. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
Achievement comes in there. So that's really something. And when I started my channel, it was mainly fitness oriented, and like every video was regarding the gym, and I didn't want people really to get that mindset that it's just a being in the gym thing. So it really could be anything, like anything in the world. My gamer tag in video games is Believe, Excel, Achieve. So it's just like something, anything that you would like to accomplish in life that you feel, that you want to get better at, BEA. That's what I say.
Yeah, that's awesome. But you're right. Like that, I've been doing a lot of like recent development in trying to study and understand like goals and like what it takes to get there. And it comes back to what we said before too, like that being able to do just a little bit at a time. Mm-hmm. But everything that you said like hits the nail right on the head, right? You're never gonna, it's like you get in your car every day, and if you don't believe that car, like your mindset is your car. And if you get in that car and you don't believe that it's going to turn on for you, you're not going to go anywhere. You're never going to go anywhere. So you need to give yourself like that sense, right? I've had those days back in the cars that I used to drive. I'd have those days where I would sit in the car and I would be like, all right, I don't really know what's going to happen. I don't know if my car's going to turn on. But if you don't step into your mindset with that, like that belief, that sense of really knowing, right? Mm-hmm. Having like blindlessly faithful in what you're doing, then you're never like, that's the first step. Really I get asked that a lot. And I think it's great that you brought up fitness, because I think a lot of mindset gets tied into fitness, almost to an extent, like overly tied into fitness. And people, and I feel like that's also where a lot of like people who don't understand like the lifestyle of somebody who really is into fitness, like they get so much like negative feedback about how they think or how like obsessive they become about it, because it just has such a bad rap when you're not in it. But it goes into everything, like you said, whatever you want to do, like you have to have that belief and you have to keep working at it to build up your ability to excel, to reach that end goal. And that's something that I'm learning in like a business realm right now with my businesses, and just my overall health. The same thing happens in mental health. And when you really look at it with the belief first, it all comes back to your mental strength and your mental capacity. And that's a muscle that can be worked.
Absolutely. I love it.
It's not really taught how to do it.
It really is. I look at it as the belief part as just like you're planting the seed, right? You're committing to it, and now it's time to take care of it and dedicate yourself to the plant so that it grows. Totally. So It's really cool.
That's amazing. We can talk. Maria knows that I love analogies and like all of the random analogies that I make. Yes. But yeah, we could dive into this like forever, but I am so curious. I had to take a really deep dive into like dealing with my struggles and kind of making reflections. And when I decided that I was going to be on a path to being positive and kind of changing my perspective on the way that I was living and talking to myself, I didn't grow up with that. Mm-hmm. Maria, did you grow up with that?
I was gonna say, who did between the two of us?
So like, is it something like, was there a person who inspired you? Was there like obviously you only have to share as much as you're willing to share.
Of course.
But like, was it a moment? Was it something that happened that you were like, you know what, I need to think this way if I want to like reach that end goal for myself?
That's a really good question, honestly. It's so hard to, I can't narrow it down to one person, definitely, just because I can't even think of one off the top of my head. I think it's just growing up, especially through high school. I had a lot of trouble with mental health, with believing in myself, and for sports mainly, not really for academics, because I was always decent at that. I didn't have much of an issue with that, but for sports, like if it was a big pressure situation, I would always try to, I realize it now, which I wish I had that mentality then, because I feel like I would have performed much, much better as an athlete. But that has really, I've always been a hard worker. So that has, being that I was working so hard and I was putting in all the work, I wanted a totally different outcome. I didn't do bad as an athlete in high school, but I wanted to be better. And I felt like I could have been much better.
I can share that same sentiment.
Yeah.
I used to play basketball in high school, and it was just
okay. Awesome. Yeah, I had played baseball in high school and football for 2 years. So it was definitely fun, but I felt like I lacked the confidence, and I don't know why. And I still, to this day, I do see it. Oh, my hat just fell. Sorry. I see a therapist once a month just because I love speaking to someone. So I speak to him about all of these things that I wish I knew when I was in high school, because you know what I mean? It's like
hindsight.
I know.
At that
Hindsight.
At that young age, it's really hard to, I don't know, get your 2 feet under yourself. So if I believed in myself a little bit more, or had a little bit more self-confidence, I feel like I could have produced so much better as an athlete in high school. So that really, like, I think triggered me to wanting to change, because I just love sports too. So I see it on TV and just at certain events, and just the competition factor of it. And basically self-competition was my most important reason, honestly. Like, I want to be better than I was last year in high school. If I was a junior, I wanted to be better as a senior. So I was always working towards that, and the work ethic was there, but I feel like the mental aspect wasn't there. So that
preach to the choir.
Yeah. So that was something. I wanted to be comfortable in more uncomfortable situations, if that makes any sense. Like in, high intensity competition, or a situation for a game that I'm in. So it really came down to that, where I wanted to have stronger mental fortitude, if you will, I guess. And I wanted to be able to not get so much butterflies before a big game, and, just go out and perform, because I really did love playing the sport. So I wasn't enjoying it as much as I wanted to, because my mind was playing games with me so much. So it was definitely a setback for me in high school. So that was really what led me to wanting to change. And like I said, being that I matured since then, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, it's I wish I had that then, but it's all right. It's never too late to, redirect your thoughts and try to become more confident in yourself.
Yeah, and it sounds like you want to pay that forward.
I really do.
Right, that ability.
Exactly what I want to do. It really is, because I want to see athletes at a high school level, and I want to give them so much like confidence and encouragement that they get like sick of it. Like, that's how much I want. You know what I mean? Because that goes back to the coaching too. Like, I feel like maybe if I was coached in a little better way, or maybe if I had a stronger relationship with a certain coach, then they could have helped me build that mental strength. But I never really had that in school. So that was it's just really big reasons. Mental game is so big when it comes to sports and competition, really, and challenges. So
yeah, and it's definitely something that I relate to you. So I can like feel like everything in my stomach right now, like because of how deeply I can how deeply I'm connecting to everything you just said. I privately coach and consult and work as like a wellness specialist for dancers now, for young dancers.
That's awesome.
And the exact reason why I do what I do is everything that you just said. Like everything that you just said. I look now unfortunately for me, the dance world is definitely not a place that like encourages like when you're frustrated or you don't feel good, or like teamwork or like camaraderie and like a lot of the sense. There's a lot of competition built up. So for me, when I experienced all of that, I was just taught to go like this with it. And then I started getting injured as a result because I didn't understand how important mental health tied into, like, there's so many studies coming out about injury in athletes and mental health.
Sure.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. And I never was able to make that connection. And now the level of competition, I mean, for all young athletes in all areas, whether they're in performing arts or they're in sports, their level of expectation of what they're expected to do, their demands are way higher. So like the lack of support is a necessity. And I remember, you know, having those days where you fight with yourself. Like, it's all self-inflicted. Like, no one else is doing anything towards you.
It's all up
like,
here.
It's all self-inflicted. You're your own worst enemy. Like, I remember having those days and not being well equipped to have like the army internally to combat any of that. And sometimes all it takes, like, sometimes you get support from people outside, but if you can't do it for yourself, you're losing.
100%.
And we were so taught backward. I mean, like, mind you, please, both of you feel like feed in on anything related to sports, because no, like, I didn't have any experience with anything other than dance.
Right. But dance is sports.
I feel like,
yeah,
but I mean, it's very, very different, like, environment.
Very different than, like, basketball and, like, football. And
but I feel like we were taught everything backwards. Like, and like, even looking at, like, the performance, like, okay, Maria, we might teach you about this, but Vincent, are you familiar with, like, the performance pyramid?
I definitely have heard of that before. I don't know, like, I can't really picture it off the top of my head, but I know of it.
I ask because I know there's a bunch of different variations, but it's very similar to, like, Maslow's hierarchy of, like, needs, but like, you can fit it into specific areas and, like, specific skill sets that a body needs to perform, like, based on whatever the specific skills at the top, and then the foundation. And in the dance world, super backwards. Like, and in sports, I feel like it can get it's a little bit better, but not where I would like it to be. Like, we focus on skill. Like, we have to learn a skill. We don't necessarily learn, like, the functional movement concepts, building strength. We don't learn about all of that. We just focus on, like, the top of the pyramid and try to climb there as fast as possible. And then we lose the foundation. And
sounds about right. That was the way I was coached.
That's very accurate.
Yeah. And I think that, like, in the performance pyramid with physicality, like, in any, like, outside of sports, just being a human and physically moving, and living well that way, we say that the, like, foundation would technically be, like, your developmental abilities, right? And like, you study this in phys ed, like, whether you crawl before you walk, before you run, before you blah, blah, blah. I had to study all of this in dance education because we need to learn developmental patterns for children. But we don't talk about mental health. Like, that's not actually the foundation. Your mental health is the foundation. And we skip that a lot of the times. And I deal with dancers who, at the age of 7, are so, like, dysfunctional in the way they think about themselves and they look about themselves, because there's no foundation there. They don't know how to handle, like, they're put in these high stress situations. Going out and playing a baseball game in front of a crowd is a high stressful situation. Like, having to dance on a stage in front of people is a high stress situation. Like, that is what needs to be dealt with. And we don't talk about that. And then you go out there and something negative happens, even if you have somebody who's trying to support you. I heard a story about a dad who, like, his son lost the game and he was like, let's go get ice cream and celebrate. And, like, even in those moments, like, it's great if you have somebody there, but you can't just have somebody there once, right? Like, someone needs to teach you how to do that for yourself, how to say, like, I lost and it's fine and I'm going to get it next time. And how can I be better next time?
Yeah, your brain's a muscle.
Right, you got it. How do we do that?
Yeah.
And that's what I think we need to change, like, that mindset shift. It's, you're not just successful because you can do something well. Like, that's not necessarily what matters. It's what's happening before all of that and where you are mentally that is going to make the difference.
That is absolutely true. It's so true. Like, I really think I'm reading a book right now, actually.
Yay, we love books.
Yeah, The Mindful Athlete. I don't even have to get it. I could just tell the title. The Mindful Athlete. Actually, Michael Jordan's sports psychologist.
Oh.
The author of the book. So it's super, super cool. I really, really love it. That goes, the book is really about how you can think properly during these high intense situations and how you're supposed to believe in yourself, ways to believe in yourself. And it's really, really awesome. It's really, they actually mentioned like to be the eye of a hurricane. So the whole hurricane is moving around you, but the eye of the hurricane, you know what I mean, is still and steady. So in those high strung situations, it's really, really easy to get sidetracked and then get overwhelmed. But if you have that tunnel vision, so to speak, then, you know, that's where you're really going to perform to the best of your ability. So it's super, super important to have that mental strength. And I'm still working on it. It's definitely a challenge, you know?
Oh yeah. Those
It's
are
a
the
daily,
days.
it's a daily.
Yes.
challenge.
And you have days where you're like, haha, I did it. And then you have days where you're like, oh God, I got caught up in it. Like the storm just took me and I got swept. But I think that the moments for me when I started to realize that what I was doing was working was where I actually had a day where I could say I was that I.
Yes.
Right. Or like when something comes at you and like that difference between like that very closely ties into the concept of being like reactive versus responsive. Right. Like those moments where you can say like, I am the moment of pause, or I am that, like, I can have that moment of peace and then I can respond to something versus what comes at me is how I deal with it. I mean, like, let me tell you, working in a restaurant, like, doesn't make that come out of you anymore. Like, I'm trying to think of an analogy of how there's a perfect response. Like that.
Just any food service, like, whatever. Because I used to be a barista, and like, in those moments when the line gets super long and like you're alone, and like for you guys, like if there's like so many customers and like there's only like 2 of you on the shift, like
very overwhelmed.
You get super overwhelmed super quickly. But it's just like, all right, everyone just calm down and just like, you know, you have to like be mentally stable during those times.
So true.
As I'm thinking about this, I'm remembering like all of the instances and like traumatic moments that I have from working in that restaurant are coming back to me. Like
just retail food service industry. It's just
like dealing with that bread machine when it was like when there were a bajillion people there.
And then yes, customers want it immediately, even before the drinks are out at the table. So it was I don't know about you. There was a real thing called server nightmares. I'd have nightmares of being in a restaurant, of working, and everything is slow motion. 100%.
I had nightmares. Getting like a coffee order wrong. Like
it's so.
Like, why does it matter?
Yes, it's incredible. It really is. It's just.
Honestly, Maria and I have had this conversation. There are very few things that I actively remember from that point of my life because stress, as we're learning, does a really bad thing to your brain. So
you really can't embrace much if you're so stressful, and that's something that
you only remember the stress. That's the problem.
You really do. You really do. It's crazy.
Yeah, those are definitely things that we've tapped into and talked about. The two of us talk about a lot. I mean, that's probably, Maria, like what would ignite all of our conversations back in the day too. Like I'd walk into your room or you'd walk up to me and you'd be like some rant would just start. And then that was it. Like that was how we, like it, that's the hard, like that's really the pinpoint too. It's like finding better ways to really cope with it. But I'm curious, I want to hear more about like what you're doing with BEA, like what kind of topics you share, and like do you share like skills for like coping mechanisms or like just lifestyle tips, things like that?
Yeah, I have like a ton of different kinds of videos. So I really just post things that I'm either doing like each day or so I have over 300 videos on my channel. It's a whole lot of different content, and mostly I'd say, if I put it into percentages, 70% of it would be fitness / inspiration / you know, like just helpful topics or helpful strategies that I can help someone with, whether it be depression or anxiety or things along those nature, just to try to help them overcome a setback that they may be dealing with. So that would be about probably 70% of the channel. And the other 30 is probably a lot of different how-tos actually as of late. Like, so I just love learning how to do things, and the best way to learn now is on YouTube. So
absolutely.
Yeah, it's
so true.
You could really just just about make or build anything if you just watch a YouTube video on it, you know? So it's really incredible how awesome that is. So I wanted to just share that as well. So it's done so much for me. So I figured something as simple as me repairing my truck a few years ago is one of my highest viewed videos. So I think that's really cool that it helped that many people. So I didn't really want to just base it off of, you know, fitness and like inspirational speaking or just that sort of talk. I wanted to also make it how to and different projects throughout the day I may be doing or hiking, you know, things just that certain random videos too on the channel. So I really just wanted to make it very multi-dimensional or,
That's awesome.
you know,
It probably feels more like real for your subscribers. Like it probably feels like it's not like someone that is solely like an inspirational like speaker. It's like, all right, this person's an actual person. Like
humanizes you.
It really is, because with the videos I have, I actually often get like emails and messages from subscribers, and they ask me like how I'm always so positive and stuff, and I immediately just laugh. I wish I was so positive all the time. But, like, did
we just talk about this last week, Maria? Was that you? I
don't know.
I love this.
It's just from the image that you can get through social media, you know what I mean? People tend to think that I'm the biggest, most positive person in the world when, like as you two know now, I've had a lot of different setbacks and still currently deal with setbacks. So it's something that is ongoing, and I want people to see that. I don't want to just have that one sort of mood where it's like, come on, we can do this. I also want to have today sucks, you know what I mean? But tomorrow we'll try harder. You know what I mean?
I was literally, I remember being told when I was younger, like, you shouldn't, like, the person who's constantly smiling and never shows any other emotion but smiling, you should not trust them.
It's so true.
Like, I will never forget that. We'll never forget that.
Very true. Especially in today's world where it's very easy to get brainwashed on Instagram or Facebook of, you know, if you see a status quo image of a female or a male as a fitness model, you know, it takes a toll on a lot of kids' mental, because they're thinking they have to look like that, or why are they much happier than I am, when realistically it's really not like that in the real world. So,
and it's way, Maria and I have talked about this before too. I would not have survived as a child and or teenager during like the time of social media, the way that they have access to things now.
We just missed it.
We just missed it.
Yeah, like
thank God.
Like I don't know how they manage it, and it's very interesting. I was just having a conversation with one of my clients who's a teenager, and you know, she thank God has like a very good head on her shoulders. Like, she knows what's BS, and she can, but you can tell that when she talks about it, it still has an impact. But like, she can see it clearly, and she also almost kind of talks about it so that she gets like reassurance from me that like, no, like, you are seeing it right, like, don't give into it. But
they need constant reassurance,
right, to know like, I don't have to look like this, or I don't have to do. She made a comment about, there are so many like terms and stuff that they use too, good lord, like throwing it back, like that's what they call like twerking now. It's like and she was talking to me about how she sees like 8-year-olds on TikTok who are doing it, and I was just like I first of all, I can't comprehend that at all. And she was just talking a little bit about, you know, like what all of that looks like on social media, and I couldn't have survived that. I could not have survived that constant questioning. Like, the monsters that we grew up with in our heads that made us question ourselves and doubt ourselves are now like on steroids and are 6 times the size, and there's multiples of them that are getting involved.
But it's so easily accessible now.
Exactly. It really, really is.
And it's just I can't imagine what they're like, the younger generations are becoming very aware of, especially with things that are happening with COVID. All of those kids are going, like, all children are going out and interacting with their children right now. Like, that's just the reality of what's happening. And on social media, there have been major issues, things that you only know about when you work with children. There have been major issues where some people are getting in trouble while other people aren't.
Okay.
And there are trends that are building, or like some people are becoming famous on TikTok and some people aren't.
Oh, right.
Where they're putting out the same type of content, they're doing the same type of things, but what's starting to be seen by these children is that the people who are more attractive are the ones who become successful, the ones who make money, the ones who don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
And then anybody else who doesn't meet that standard of what's socially acceptable or socially deemed as attractive to be on social media is getting yelled at for COVID, is getting yelled at for whatever it is, who is being belittled and is being told they're doing something wrong. But if you meet a standard of attraction, like there's no pushback on you, or it's not as big. And just that alone, like when did that become a thing? So
it really is bothersome. It really, really is.
Like it's uncomfortable.
It really is. It 100% is.
Because if you're my kid and you're doing what you're not supposed to be doing, I don't care what you look like. I'll smack you until you're ugly. Like that's what it used to be, right? If you were doing something you weren't supposed to be doing, like I'll beat you upside the head until you don't see straight.
Right.
Like those are the concepts that we're used to. And it's just
it's toxic for the kids to see though, because then for the kids, just going back to like the whole like believing yourself thing.
That is the word
like
they use. They know it. They use toxic and they're like, these environments are toxic. We really should get rid of them.
But the kids are like the teenagers or whoever are getting like recognition for their shitty existences, and the other kids getting really like fun. Really affects their mental health though. Like the whole believing themselves, just going back to the whole thing, like it's just like, all right, then you have like these influencers, whatever they want to call themselves, like they have power that they have because they're in like that in crowd, and the rest are just like really like they feel shit.
And it gets so much worse. Like it goes so much further. Like when we were younger, I remember being told, like we were in middle school, like I was not allowed to interact with high school students. My brother was in high school, like I was not allowed to like be really around his friends, or like I wasn't allowed to date anybody. Like I wasn't allowed to date anybody ever, but like I wasn't allowed to date anybody that much older than me. Like there were serious restrictions, and like none of that seems to be happening. And then the worst part is, like you said, Maria, these 16, 17, 24-year-olds are getting on social media and don't realize the influence they're having on 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds who are also on social media.
Yeah,
so true.
Mm-hmm.
And they're growing up with these super skewed perspectives. Yeah, I'm very scared.
It's a fearful time. It really is, because a lot of it's misperception or misconception, whatever the word is, misperception.
Yeah, all of them are right, and then misguided, and then misunderstood, and all of the misses.
All the misses, really, because it's totally not. And I wish that more people were raw on these sites, because then you'd realize that nobody's perfect. Nobody, you know, 99% of people only post their best highlights. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a highlight reel.
Yeah,
it's not a reality
show.
It's I know. But it's like we've said, it's tough for a young kid to see that and not get affected by it, because I know I would certainly be, as you're saying. I'm affected at it at times right now.
I would say I have a hard time some days, so I don't know how they are doing. Well, okay, so let me ask this to both of you as we like kind of like wrap things up.
Mm-hmm.
Also, being able to have conversations with like Vin, like you're awesome, like Maria, I tell you this all the time. Like being able to have these conversations means that there is hope.
Yeah.
Right. And like being able to, and I love what you brought up about like coaching and teaching, like that's the heart of why we do what we do. Like we want it to be better for the kids when we've struggled with things and we see how scary it is. And now those scaries are way bigger than they ever were for us. And we want to help them be able to battle them.
Yes.
But for both of you, what is some like solid sound advice or like a tip that you would give, something that a kid can practice? And Maria doesn't deal with children, so this is going to be super fun for her.
I don't like children.
Something that you can give as advice, child or non-child, trying to adult or not, to somebody to help them on those days, or help them when they have those moments, to build that belief in themselves, to overcome those adversities and see themselves through like that bigger lens than maybe how they feel on their day-to-day.
Right.
That's a really good question. That's a very good question.
Great.
I know
Now
all of these things are sorry. Like I get all of these things come to my head, but it's
no, I know.
We live in these situations where we hear so many things, but it's like how do we put it?
How do you like focus yourself?
How do we put it? Yeah, and
Yeah.
put it into practice. Like what's something that we can put into practice? You know?
That's.
Take a thinking moment, please.
Thinking
moments. Yeah. Side note for anybody else while these two are thinking, and this is also the teacher in me. You don't have to be the first person to respond. Thinking moments are very important.
Why? Also, like, why is that not taught in school? like you don't have to be the first. Like, just everyone think for a second and then have your best guess or answer, and then.
because kids, that's kids. They just want it to move. They want everything. They want a response. Do you ever realize how they bully each other into giving an answer before the teacher ever does?
Oh my God, I can't. Children.
So the question summed up, how would we be able to positively give them advice to overcome like a certain setback? Basically,
just focus,
anything.
Yeah, the way I would think of it is, I don't want anyone to ever feel like they're alone. That's a huge thing with me. So I find social media to be the best thing in the world and the most evil thing in the world at the same exact time. And
that was our first episode.
It's just, it is so incredible how helpful it can be and how useful it can be, as we spoke about the YouTube videos, and you can find anything on YouTube. If you want to look up inspirational speakers or anything that you may be interested in, you can find on the internet. So it's great. And if they could focus on that, it would be great. But I think just to have them know that everybody deals with these struggles and setbacks. So it's just like, for right now, it's something that you would have to deal with. That's how I try to tell, like if I work at a camp throughout the summer here and there, I'll just try to explain to them based off their age level, of course, because some are more easily understood than younger kids if they're a little bit older. But I'll just tell them, like, what you're going through right now is not permanent. You know what I mean? Like it's a setback. Yeah. You're dealing with some anguish. You're dealing with certain, low self-esteem, low belief. This is just a grain of sand in the big picture of your whole life. So we can, work on it for the better. And that's hopefully the route that they would want to take, instead of, just giving up on a certain craft or skill that they would want to fulfill, is what I'm thinking. Yeah. So I would think that when you're not alone is what I would tell them. Like, we're all here to help, or there's so many people that you can reach out to, and such useful videos online too that you can see. And it's not, if you have a problem temporarily, don't let it break you into something, that way you won't be able to believe in yourself for the future. So it's really important to have that balance of, I didn't accomplish what I wanted to today, but tomorrow's another day, and I can axe the wood, chop the tree down again.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing.
My take on it. I would feel those two things.
Yeah, I love that. You're not alone. I think
that's really important.
So our world is so ironic right now. Ironic.
And a lot of people feel alone these days because it might not be the nicest. So
right. And all the ways that we have to be connected, we do whatever we can to make sure that we're isolated. It's very odd.
That is so great. That's a great way to put it.
It's so true.
But I love what you said with like the temporary experience.
Everything's
and like getting really existential, which is Maria's gonna hate this because she hates when I bring up death. But
no, it's okay.
like getting to a point where you can look at it in the bigger picture too, right? When you really, even if you zoom back as far as possible, like it's all temporary. Yeah. So I love that. One of the like phrases that I'm really big into, like self-talk. One of the phrases that I was learning for myself on like overcoming things, or like feelings, not being like mad or telling myself that I can't feel anything that isn't happy. But to say, for everything that I feel or everything that I'm experiencing, always like adding on the right now. Like, I'm really happy right now. Or I'm really happy. Like, think this is really unfortunate right now. Like, to remember that, so that you are always focusing on like, this is great, I'm going to live in it, but now I have to move on to what comes next. So I can, if I'm not in a good place, I can get to a better place. If I am in a good place, how do I make sure that I can find that again?
Yeah.
So that temporary relevance is huge.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
All right, Moo, your turn.
That's my turn. Well, I mean, just going off of everyone else's statements, like the one thing that I keep telling myself and has helped recently is just to like keep going. So like the same thing, like everything's temporary.
Very true.
And even if you are like in a bad place in your life or like whatever, it is temporary, but also like even so, like you're still enough is also a thing that like kids should learn to like know, is like they're always enough.
Absolutely.
Because once you again, the brain is like a muscle that you just have to like keep at it and keep going, keep practicing, like just saying shit like that to yourself. Because at the end of the day, like your life is your life. Like whoever external factor is like shitting on your life that day, like it's temporary. Just keep going. Like that's it. That's my advice.
Yes,
And
I love
of
this.
course, it's better said than done.
Always. All of this.
Yeah.
When like I love that, Vin, I love that you brought that out blatantly. Like, and Marie and I try to talk about this all the time too. Like we say all of this stuff, but like we are not the poster children for this stuff. We talk about it because we have to remind ourselves to keep doing it too. Because we also
Why do you think therapy exists? Like,
Yeah, 100%. And when I make those videos or I put these posts out, I feel better when I do it. So it really helps me while I'm helping others. So it really is a win-win that way. So it's so funny because people really think I'm 100% on always, and I just laugh. I'm like, you're so wrong.
You're so wrong.
until you see me mad, and then people are very confused.
Until someone sees me super distraught, like forget it. They think I'm
they just don't. They don't know what they don't know. And
You're right. It's true.
So like, luckily for them. Okay, so bringing your two things together, this made me think of an amazing movie that is gonna be my recommendation for people to watch, especially if you're a kid. I don't know even where it's accessible now, but find it and watch it. Maria, you saying keep moving forward made me think of it. Do you know what movie I'm thinking of?
No. Are you kidding me? No. What do you think of?
I have a big head and little arms. What movie is that from?
Oh my god. I lost it. Is it Disney? It's not Disney. Is it Meet the Robinsons?
Yeah. Is that a Disney movie?
I saw I've seen that movie.
Do you ever see that movie, Meet the Robinsons?
Never seen that movie.
You have to watch
sad at the
end.
end.
Love it.
Okay.
It is
not like sad.
Emotional roller
like,
coaster.
No,
it's totally sad. I cried like a baby. It is an emotional roller coaster.
Okay.
But it is a wonderful like adaptation for children to understand how important like perspective and mindset is.
Okay.
Right.
Wow. Is it animated?
It's animated.
Yeah, it's like super funny, and parts of it are like really, really goofy.
Okay.
But
So
like
raw.
the creativity and imagining. Whenever somebody says "keep moving forward," I think of this movie.
That's really great words to live by. It really is.
Yeah, because they do a whole. You're really gonna like it. You have to watch it and then you have to tell me what you think.
I will absolutely check it out. I love.
That is my tip for people.
So watch Meet
the Robinsons. Seriously, you'll feel like a hot mess, and then like those little seeds will be planted in your head, and you'll be happy later.
You'll feel better watching that movie because it just shows, especially if like when you're older and you're not a kid anymore, and you start to understand like the story behind everything. Like you'll understand your parents more too. Like
it taps on everything that the two of you have said. You're not alone. Everything is temporary. Keep moving forward. External factors don't matter. It literally touches on all of those things.
Awesome. That is. This is a random. Have you ever seen Inside Out?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That movie's
That's
great.
another one too. So now we're just totally whether you're a child or not, these are all great movies for you to watch to give you some mental perspective.
It's absolutely incredible.
Such a great film because I would never be able to really understand that much as a kid, but being that it came out as of late and I'm an adult and I can watch it, even Finding Nemo as an adult is different. Like you could really get you know what I mean? You could understand it more.
All these cartoons are different.
Right, those adult level child shows, like all of those
My
things.
recommendation is Coco, by the way.
Yeah, that one too.
That's a great one.
These are all Pixar movies. I'm pretty sure that Meet the Robinsons is a
like,
Pixar movie.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know, but still, Pixar's stepping up the level on these things. So yeah, that's your first recommendation. Watch some movies that are going to mentally educate you.
Watch those movies.
Remember all these
replay this podcast episode.
Yeah.
Just hear all of our advices.
That's what I was going to ask you. Now, is there an email or a website or something that I could be able to get a copy of this podcast?
Oh yeah, totally.
Nice.
Yes, we can email it to you.
Awesome.
I will reach out. Maria does all of the editing stuff. Brittany does all of the showing up stuff. Maria does all the editing stuff. We know where our strengths lie. Brittany comes up with ideas. Maria says if they're okay or not, and then edits them, and then goes on and edits all of the videos.
Very
Yeah.
nice. It's a good team right there.
Yeah, we know
We'll
where our
send you
strengths are.
a copy.
Of course.
We'll
Great.
email you.
Yeah, I would
Thank
like
you
to share.
so much.
Yeah.
Thank you
We
guys
loved
for
having
me.
you here. You
No,
were such a
great.
perfect guest. I could feel it in my
Absolutely.
gut when I was thinking about it.
Thank you
So
very
I'm so
much.
happy you
I
joined.
appreciate it.
Oh,
Have a
tell
Before-
everybody where they can find you.
I'll just say before we end, two things. Tell everyone where we can find you, and also anything else you want to bring up, just in case we
Okay.
missed something.
So where you can find me, Facebook. I have a page for Believe, Excel, Achieve. So if you just type in Believe, Excel, Achieve, you'll find it. YouTube as well. If you type in Believe, Excel, Achieve, you'll find it. You'll find my channel, and Instagram, Believe, Excel, Achieve. So it's really simple. Those three are the main three that I really use.
Cool.
So if you wanted to find me on there, that would be great. Believe, Excel, Achieve. And yeah, I don't know what else I would add. This was a really good podcast. My first ever, by the way.
What?
You are
you gotta
perfect
do
on
more,
it.
man. You gotta
You're
get on
perfect
way more
on it.
things.
Yeah,
I gotta
I
talk
was-
to people I know. To get you on
Yeah.
stuff.
Great. I've gotten a few requests, but they never followed through. So you girls were the first one. I say guys, I'm sorry.
Oh,
You
You're
girls were
good.
the first
You
one.
can say
Yeah.
whatever. I don't care.
you're
I've
good.
been
I'm
told
good
way
on
worse.
my end too.
Guys, it's fine.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I thank you guys for having me. Really, I appreciate it.
Yeah, we loved
Come
having
back
you, and I'll
anytime.
keep you posted.
Alright,
Yeah,
thank
come
you.
back. But yes, please. And if you have any suggestions, we'd love to hear from you. And like Maria said, we'd love to have you join us again. This was
Thank you very much.
totally a wonderful episode.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
Alrighty. Well,
Okay.
follow Vin on all social media, whatever you need, whether it's fitness, inspirational, how-tos, which I will probably be on there after we finish up here. But thank you for listening in to this episode of the Be More podcast, and we will see you next week.
Cool.
Yay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Vin. It was so nice to see you.
Nice meeting
Stay
you.
in touch.
Yeah, nice meeting you too. Have a good weekend.